Alright guys, today's vlog is going to be totally different than normal. I just want to share my thoughts on something. There's two viral videos going on right now on TikTok and Reels. One is of a dance dad, not our dance dad of course, just somewhere in the world. A dance dad complaining that he has to buy a recital ticket to watch his dancer perform at the end of the year once they've already paid tuition for the whole year and costumes and all that. And the other one is a mom complaining about the fact that her dance studio charged $100 for a dance costume, but she found it on Shein for like $10. Okay, so my reaction to both of those, I can kind of play both sides of it in a couple different ways. So let's start with the dad. The first thing here, guys, is just really be careful about the message you're sending. So he's basically saying, to sum it up, that they've paid for tuition, which covers, you know, the cost of teaching the lessons and renting your own space to teach lessons, right? And the overhead you have to do that service. But he doesn't think that the studio should make any money off from the fact that they're there working for an entire weekend or day or whatever it might be, and renting a venue on behalf of all these families. Venues are very expensive for one. Two, staff is expensive. We have like, I don't even remember, 15 or something of our own staff at all 7 of our shows. So do the math on that. Plus we're paying for all the stagehands and the Gallagher Blue Door staff and all of that too. So he's saying that that's not worth anything to him. He doesn't think, you know, that the studio should be reimbursed for that. The part that really bothers me about that is the labor part, right? Would you go to your mechanic and say, dude, I just looked this part up on, you know, whatever, Amazon, and I see that the part is only worth $35. So I'm only going to pay you $35 because your labor is worth nothing. Probably not, right? You probably would not say that to a mechanic or a plumber or anyone else, right? So the fact that we're telling our little girls, this woman and these women, because let's be honest, 99% of dance studio staff are women. These women's time and energy and labor is worth nothing. So I think you just got to be careful about saying that in front of your kids, especially young girls. That can be very damaging. Why is the mechanic's time worth something and labor worth something, but the dance studio owner or teachers, staff members, their time is not, right? They should just give up their entire weekend because they love kids and they should just do it for free. Well, why shouldn't the mechanic give up their time and do it for free because they love cars? Right? And then the other one is kind of along the same lines, the mom that's complaining about the costume. Now, let me be clear on this. We, as a studio, choose to run very professionally. Professionalism is one of our core values. It is very innate within me, and so it comes very easily to us. I have never once, in about 50 recitals that I have organized as a studio owner, I have never once ordered a costume from anywhere but a professional costume company. For me, there's just a lot of reasons behind that. I want to know that the costume is going to come in decent quality. I want to work with a reputable company that I know the costumes will show up on time. They will show up correct compared to what I ordered. The sizing will be consistent. Sometimes that doesn't happen, but more or less ish, the sizing is consistent, things like that. So we order all of our costumes through, honestly, like 2 of the most reputable costume companies out there for that reason. That's important to me. So I would never order something off Shein. So there's that. And I would definitely never upcharge a $10 item to $100. However, should there be an upcharge on a costume? Let's say a costume out of a book costs $75, okay? And the studio charges $100 for that costume. there's a lot of parents on these videos acknowledging that and saying that makes sense. But there's also a lot of parents saying that they shouldn't be making any money off the costume. If the costume costs $75 or $10 in this case, the studio should be charging $10 or $75. Again, back to that idea of what are we telling our young girls? Your labor is worth nothing. To do costumes, you guys, is a whole thing. We have to measure every single student, which, depending on the size of your studio, is a huge undertaking. That's like someone's full-time job for an entire week. That's 40 hours of measuring easily. Then we have to go through each one of those measurement sets and decide what size of costume we're going to order for that child. That's a whole process. We also have to listen to sorry, I'm changing, my arm's tired. We also have to listen to the music and decide what costumes go with that. So there's admin, creative time in that. And a lot of times you pick a costume and everything looks great, then you decide, wait, hold on, that one costume randomly is not available in an extra large child, and I need an extra large child for that class. So then you have to go back and find a brand new costume for that class and start all over. So that's, a ton of time, a ton of time. And so, honestly, upcharging $25 the costume probably doesn't even cover that front half of it. Then there's the whole part where you actually have to sit down and put in the order online. Click, 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 click. For all of those, thousands, hundreds, whatever your studio size is, of costumes. And then you have to go back and forth with the company when something gets back ordered. There's a lot of phone time during those spring months with the costume companies. And then you have to organize them when they come in. The costume companies typically give you about 5 days to notify them if anything is incorrect. So you have to go through all of these boxes, double check the packing slips, double check your order. They do not send them all at one time. So you're going to just have this trickle in constantly through the months of, for us, it's the months of like November, December, January, February, into March, the first week of March. We just have costume boxes coming in constantly. So somebody is doing that, going through each box. And then following up with company when something's wrong. There's always a couple things here and there. They send you the wrong size, or they send you one less that you need, or they send you one more or something. And then it takes a long time to sit down and organize all those costumes for each child. So we end up with, all these huge boxes just full of random costumes. Half of this class might be in this box, and half of the class is in that box. It's a mess the way they ship them. So it takes a very, very long time to even find a class's costumes and then say, okay, Sally needs a large child. All right, find a large child. That goes in Sally's bag, or however your studio organizes it. So anyway, there's a ton of labor and expense. We print costume care cards that go in each bag. We order bags, which sometimes we order custom. This year we didn't, but the custom bags are like $2 a bag. Just in and of, that's just a cost, let alone the time that somebody took to order the bag and follow up with the company when they didn't come in and blah, 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 right? So anyway, and yeah, we include tights with our costumes as well. Yeah, and then you have to organize them all by classes and studios. We have 6 studios at our main location, 1 satellite. We have to carry them all over and haul them and put them in the right studios for the right night. And then we try them on. And so we have a bunch of admin staff that week that are extra in the studios, trying all these costumes on with kids. So to think that all of that should not be compensated for, I think is really sending our children the wrong message. I don't believe anyone should work for free. I don't think that should ever be an expectation. I think it's crazy that as a society that is still overwhelmingly okay? That people really think that and are gonna put it on TikTok and it's gonna go viral and people are gonna agree that somebody's work is not worth payment for. That shocks me. But yes, $10 upcharge to $100 is a little much, and I would never use something other than a professional costume house. But we do upcharge. We will upcharge. That's our time is valuable. Our time is worth something, and I sure hope that we're teaching our little girls that. So just think about that before you complain about being charged for something that there's labor involved in. You're undermining that person's labor and saying that they are not valuable, that they are not worth anything. And I find that interesting. And I, again, go back to the fact of, do we show up to the dentist and say, well, but, you know, dentist, how much does the actual crown cost you, though? Because that's all I'm paying. I'm not going to pay for your labor, right? That's ridiculous. Like, you wouldn't do that. So why do it to dance teachers? That's wrong. I'm sorry. That's wrong. Now, also wrong to order a $10 costume from Shein. So I see both sides. But please, please, please be careful about the message that you're sending to your kids. I know it's easy to jump on the bandwagon and be like, oh yeah, why do we have to pay for recital costumes, or why do we have to pay, like, but just stop and think like 2 feet past your nose and remember that these costumes don't just magically show up, or, you know, we don't get funded by anything but our families, right? So when you go to a high school basketball game, you don't complain about paying $5 or whatever it is at the door to go to that, while your tax money already built the place, right? So when we have to rent a venue, your tax money didn't go towards that venue, typically, unless they're renting like a school or something, which their ticket prices then should reflect that. But if you're renting a professional venue, that's a business too, and they need to charge money. It's fascinating to me in a world with so much information out there, and I feel like entrepreneurship is definitely something that is on the front lines. People are talking a lot about, and we still have people that are that naive to how much work goes into running a small business. So if you ever wonder why you have to pay something, please ask kindly, assuming that there's a really good reason but you just don't understand it, versus going on TikTok and ranting that your dance teachers, dance studio owners, dance staff members, their time and energy and labor is worth nothing, because you're actually hurting your own kid by saying that.